Alrighty then, here we go. I'm on the start line here at the British Cycling National Masters Circuit Championships, organised by House Race Team at Darley Moor near Ashbourne in Derbyshire. Now, this race does not go to plan for me, so this means that I can essentially play the whole first 17 or 18 minutes of the race, because that's how long it lasted for me. Normally I have to select the highlights from this sort of thing to commentate, but I thought it'd be interesting to show you how a race like this actually plays out for the first 20 or minutes or so. Now, races do differ race to race depending who is in them, so this might not happen in any other race that you do, but this is how this one went. So here we go, we just started, and there goes John O'Hornblow of Derby CC, just making one little attack off the front. Now, this race is about 60 riders. This is a Masters A category, so if you're not in the UK or if you don't know what the race format is, this is essentially ages 30 to 39, I think it is, and then within that, there's the 30 to 35 category and the 35 to 39 category. I don't know exactly how they're broken down, but you get the idea. There's about 30 odd riders in each category, 2 races on track in the same group. Make sense? Exactly. No, you can't tell who's in what race depending on the numbers. That would have been advantageous for some people, but that just wasn't what it was like on the day. So the circuit is it was pan flat. There's a couple of twists and turns, but nothing really too major. It is Dorito shaped, as you can see on the graphic on the top left hand corner, and the headwind is just after this hairpin here. There was a slight headwind down onto this next side of the course that we're going down, and the other two sides of the course, it was pretty negligible really. It's just strange for Darley Moor. Normally there's a strong wind, so it was interesting to see how it played out without much wind. Now, my race strategy for this race, although there aren't loads of elite riders in it, there are a handful of first cats, and I think there were a couple of elite category riders in the race. So a bit different to what I'm used to doing. Normally you do races that are organised by race licence category, and that means if you win loads of races, you get a higher licence category, racing higher categories. British Cycling has elite, and then first, second, third and fourth cat. I'm a third cat, so I'm by no means towards the pointy end, but I'm sort of in the middle of the amateurs, I suppose. So this is going to present to me some challenges, riding with some better riders, but also some riders who I used to normally race with anyway. So it's not like I'm head and shoulders out of my depth here. There's just some riders who are a lot better than me, but that's the case with a lot of bike races I go to. So my actual race strategy for this race is, I think it's going to break up. Based on what I've heard as to how people are going to ride, mainly the gentleman in my rear view mirror there, Adam Kenway, because of the wide range of abilities, when there are the big attacks, it breaks up, as in there'll be several groups on the road. So my strategy was to be near the front and to try and go with moves. I didn't want to try and make any moves because I've only got so many matches, but I want to be near the front. If a move goes or if a split happens, I want to be on the right side of that split. So here, there's a little attack on the left. I'm kicking on here because this could be the one. I don't know if it's the one or not. You can only go with so many moves, yes, but there we go. They sit up and it's just nullified straight away. But that puts me in the position where I'm going to potentially be in the race-winning move. Now, if I got in the race-winning move, I'm not entirely sure what my plan would be because I could be heavily outgunned, but at least I'd be there. So that's my strategy, and this is what happens over the next few laps. So one lap done there. This has started relatively easy. There's only been one real attack on that lap, and you can see here I'm just trying to position myself at all times towards the front, but not on the front. It's quite a good strategy to have, but unfortunately there's about 60 other riders who probably have the same strategy. Now, you can see here, this is pretty cruisy and people are just all over the track, just keeping an eye on each other. I do try and sit on one side of the track. It does seem easier to keep an eye on what is happening around you. You've only got to look over one side of you rather than both sides. And you see here, there's a couple of, maybe not full-on attacks going on the right, but definitely people kicking on. So again, I just nudge on a little bit just to make sure that I'm following those. I do know that I can't go with every single move, but I'm feeling good. And I know that if something goes early on and I don't go with it, I'm not going to have the legs to get across to it, so I might as well spend my pennies now early on trying to get myself in the best position possible. Feel free to let me know down below though if you've got any crit racing advice or crit racing tips. I am all ears. I've probably done about 5 this year and a couple of road races, and I've got a couple of road races left this year. I'm a triathlete mostly, so I've not got a very big kick on me, but I've got a decent aerobic engine, I think, and that does normally serve me well in races like this at Darley Moor because the average speed is quite high. Always a hard kick out this top hairpin. It's the slowest place on the circuit, although we only get down to about 18, 19 miles an hour. That is where a lot of gaps do open up. Little attack on the right there, so that gentleman just swings out and then just kicks on a little bit, but this is like a headwind section, so it's the hard hardest place to get away, but he's making some gaps there, making some moves. A few riders just come through. Now, I know here that I don't want to make that gap myself. If somebody comes past me like there, bang, I'm going to kick on and just try and get in the slipstream to get across to those other riders. Although I'm 5 or 6 meters behind, there is still a decent draft saving there, but you can just see that rider sat up, so immediately I'm off the gas as soon as I can. I don't want to be closing that gap, and there's an extra couple of seconds where I'm pressing on. I just need to save that energy if possible. Adam Kenway there just coming around me. Obviously, he's keeping his eyes on me. I'm a big threat to him in this race today. Can't say that my keeping a straight face. And yeah, a bit like nervous start to the race here. We're all looking at each other. You can see there a bit of racecraft from Kenway. He's just come across to one side and he's looking across. I don't think he's particularly threatened by me, but I'll come across the right because I know this sets me up well for a smooth corner on this left-hand bend, coming down the start finish straight. And I also do want to get my eye in for taking this corner fast. If I do get in a break or do attack or whatever later on, I'm going to be taking these corners a bit faster, so I need to just get my eye in and just get used to riding those corners fast. This guy attacked a few times and was riding very well, so I also started keeping my eye on him, and I don't think he attacked there, but he definitely just pressed on a little bit. And again, I'm just sat on the wheel, just making sure that I'm well positioned. If anything, I'm a little bit too far forward there. See there, I flicks the elbow. Sorry, mate, I'm not coming through for a turn. I will accidentally roll through to the front, but I'm getting off the gas here as much as possible. This is actually a pretty bad place to be because I'm on the front and I'm not putting out much power, which means you're not going very fast. So when somebody attacks from behind you, the speed differential is bigger. If I'm doing 22 miles an hour, they come past at 30. I've got to kick up to 30 miles an hour. It's a bigger gap. Whereas now, we're doing 27, 28. Nobody's going to come past you at 38 miles an hour. So it is just easier to respond. You can see here, so I go with him a little bit, then I swerve over, making it very clear that I'm not closing that gap. I will let him go and I'll let somebody else chase him down. Because it's so early on in the race, people are willing to do the work and close gaps. And that's a bit of a gamble, that, because he could have ridden off into the sunset. But I just know that I don't want to be that person at the front closing all the gaps down. That's not going to help me out later on in the race. So that was my plan. This is more where I need to be, sort of fifth or sixth wheel, well and truly tucked in the draft, just trying to get my heart rate down. So my maximum heart rate on the bike is about 175 to 180, depending how fresh I am, and I am quite fresh today. So I think our heart rate was a little bit higher than it is normally, and in terms of threshold power, it's about 350, 360, somewhere around there. I haven't tested recently, and I am about 90 kilos, so I don't accelerate the fastest. We see this out the top corner up here, but once we're up to speed, I can generally hold the wheels pretty well, or keep that speed up, sort of thing. This corner was causing me some problems, and it does later on as well. I had a couple of twitches through here, just for no apparent reason. It's a little bit damp, not quite fully dry. We weren't going around it especially fast, but it's just a bit difficult. Hard kick out this corner here, and I know that I need to kick on hard because I can't just let those three ride off. And this also could be where the gap opens up, and it does a little bit. If you look behind me, the GoPro does blow this up a little bit. It's not actually that big of a gap, but all I've done there is kick hard out the corner, and those towards the back of the group behind are probably kicking as hard, but because we're positioned well, we're off the front here. We've got a little gap. Now, I don't think this is the move. I don't know the riders in this group, so I can't be sure, but immediately they're not working together. Look, they're spreading out across the track. Nobody's really fully committing to this. People are still riding hard, but I'm doing 300 watts, it's not that hard. And I think it's just early. Even if this was the best riders in the race, I think 8 minutes into an hour crit, it's a long way to go. And even if they're strong enough to be in the break for that long, I don't think I am. By the way, I love that Ridley, the colour. I said that to the gentleman during the race, actually, and I think he was trying to concentrate on the race, but I love the colour scheme of the bike. So even if they were strong enough, I know that I wouldn't be able to, ride and contribute to a breakaway for 50 minutes at 27, 28 miles an hour. So that's why I didn't go to the front or try and do anything. And as you can see here, one guy's come across to us, closely followed by the whole bunch. So I'm glad there I didn't commit a huge amount of energy. It took a bit to get out the corner, but if you look behind me, how strung out the bunch is, for somebody to try and move up from the back to the front, that's going to take a huge amount of energy, whereas I'm already at the front. So I think that was energy well spent. But as I say, I don't really know. I'm just a third cat who goes around doing the odd crit. I don't claim to be an expert like NorCal cycling, etc. But there you go. Another lap done and dusted then. That was okay. And again here, I don't like it when it is this slow, when we're going this easy on the front. I think it just encourages attacks. It's not like a chain gang where somebody will just come through and take up the front and, start working into the wind. This is where people will then seize the opportunity to attack. And if I'm honest here, I was half thinking about it. However, the reasons I've just said, it's too early. It's freewheeling, like it is that easy. I know it's a long way to go. We're still doing 27 miles an hour, so I just thought, well, this is going to get hard at some point, and if it is this easy at the minute, it's just going to make the hard bits harder. A few riders just nudging up on the left, so I'm comfortable that this rider in front is not just going to sit completely up and let all those guys ride off into the distance, but just counting how many bikes are coming past me, because I don't want to go from the front to the back, especially when it's not that hard. It's a shame to lose that much position in when it isn't actually that difficult. If there was attacks and I'm slipping back because I can't do any more, that's not a problem, or it is a problem, but I can't control it. I don't want to lose loads of positions just for nothing. Coming up to the top hairpin again, and I'm looking at my positioning and thinking, yeah, I'm still relatively close to the front. I have seen Adam Kenway slip towards the front up here, so he's one of the... I don't know many of the riders, he's one of the ones that I know, so that's a bit of a concern. If he goes to the front, you think, well, maybe he's going to attack, but... if he does it, see that little slip there, see that little twitch on the front end. We'll come back to that again in a minute. I'm not entirely sure if anything happened with my tyre at that point, but it does become a problem later on. A little attack on the right there from that guy. I'm just surging up, not fully attacking, just trying to stay close to people to stay in the draft. You can see there, Jono's Hornblow's just slipped through to the left. Is that Adam up ahead? I can't even see. But I know here, I'm going to push on relatively hard to try and just get on these wheels. Back again, you can see here they're not working that hard. Couple of riders just in the distance. You know, all you're trying to do here is just surf the right wheels and follow the right groups of riders through. There, he's attacked. He's tried to close the gap, but then he's looked behind him. I'm just trying to sit in the draft and just still make progress whilst not committing too much energy. There's so much to think about during these sorts of things. It's not just bike riding, there's like all these different dynamics to think about. That rider there just slips through, and I should have got on his wheel really, but I'm just not positioned well enough. This rider comes through to the right of me, so I think, yep, okay, I can just follow him through a little bit. Oh no, I don't, I'll just ease off. There's a corner coming up anyway, so I think I was hoping that it just comes back together. Let's see what happens on the kick out of this corner. Yeah, so we're kicking on decently well. So my maximum like 10-second power is about 900 watts. So I'm not far off like maximum sprint there. So although it's not like, you know, see like 1500 watts, that is still quite hard for me. And then I'm just watching in the distance there, what is happening? Are those riders coming through or not? That is Jono from Derby CC just slotting in front of me. That helps me because I just drop on his wheel, then I'm back in that little bunch. But here I'm thinking, well, what is happening up the road? There's a small group in the distance. Can't see exactly what is happening, but there's a couple of riders going. So I think now, is this the beginning of just a smash fest? If so, let's go. So I'm hitting it hard. I'm trying to follow these wheels through because, as I said earlier, I want to be in the first group or the best group, highest group up that I can be in, if I think that's how the race is going to play out. And you can only be there by just following attacks and being as close to the front as you can. This is quite hard up here. My heart rate 177 is quite close to maximum. I am just dropping it down to 350ish. I know that there's riders sat on my wheel. I can see them snaking over the road in front of me, so I know they're not going to be pulling massive gaps, but I just know that I also don't want to close it all myself. So I'm moving across the track and just making it clear that I'm not working for that. I'm still riding relatively hard, but I've not got that. And I lose a few places, but I just know here that the hairpin's coming up. I'm still working quite hard to stay in touch with these guys, and I'm losing more positions, but I'm still keeping in touch with the bunch, which is all I need to do really, knowing that hopefully if it eases up I can move up a few spaces on the next lap or something. Looks like it's all back together. That's a little bit of excitement. So I do wonder if those riders further back in the group have just ended up in the same position as me but without spending that energy. However, you don't know that for a fact. I'd be interested to hear from people who perhaps sat in for the first 20-30 minutes as to how their ride was. I don't really know, but I didn't want to risk a group going up the road, as I said. Still quite strung out, isn't it, out of that corner? It's not like people are just riding around here. They are kicking on hard out the corners, and I think this is what the better riders do, just to soften up everybody else, so that when the big attacks do actually go, people are less likely to react to them. Like if, let's say, one of the good riders attacked, I could probably react and maybe go with them, whereas 40 minutes into a crit, if I've been riding hard, if one of the good riders attacked and they're feeling good, there's no chance that I'd be going with them. So maybe that's a strategy, I don't really know. But if they're trying to sucker people like me into chasing people, then it's working. Heart rate's come down a fair bit there, so I'm just making the most of this into the headwind. This is the best bit for recovering, but I do have in my mind that, okay, if I'm feeling good, people around me will be feeling good as well. So it's not like, okay, I feel good, I'm going to attack because nobody else has got any legs. Well, they have, and it will be still quite difficult to get away. a bit nervous when it's like this. I don't like it when you just like, it feels like you're in a group ride rather than an actual race, but you can't change that unless you want to go to the front and just treat it like a chain gang, which doesn't make any sense. Still looks like we're all together. I don't think any riders have been distanced off the back just yet. It's been quite surgy, but it's not been absolutely savage. Another little kick out of that corner, but that's actually not hard at all, really. Maybe I should have surged up here a bit more just to make a few more positions up, but it's difficult when there's riders everywhere. I come up on the left here, and I think I just start shouting riders that I'm on the left because I don't want to get boxed in or wiped out. But that rider's well within his rights just to come across there. He's got the racing line is just in front of me, and that's Alex Witt on the right of Vela Bavarian. And he did say he only let me through there because it was me. If it was anybody else, he'd have chopped him up. So thanks for the courtesy, Alex. I do appreciate it. He was joking. So here, a couple of riders just going off the front. Keeping an eye on that. Again, I'm not really in a position to kick out of here, and I can see them snaking around again. But very soon after this, I think this is where there is my biggest attack or reaction of the race. So it's been nervous now for about half a lap, so it's clear something big is coming. I'm positioned well. I'm trying not to get right to the front. Those two riders were just the front on the right. Now, there are two riders slightly further up the road. You can't see them because they've probably got, I don't know, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. So I know that they've got up there, and I hear a rider coming to the left of me, and I'm attacking already because I want to go with this rider from Ilkeston CC. So I'm just kicking on hard here to go with him. I don't actually look behind me because I know that regardless of what's happening behind, this is a good position for me. I know I'm not going absolutely all in, and I just want to go with this rider. Let's say we don't get across to the break of two, but the whole bunch is behind us. That's okay because I'm still sat on his wheel. Yes, it is a better draft further back, but not that big. Looked behind me before I swung around. I saw that we had a decent gap, so I thought, okay, I will contribute like a bit. Like I need to control it, I need to moderate it, but we've got a gap to the bunch. There are two riders further up the road. A group of four have a lot better chance of staying away than a group of two. So if we can get to those two up the road, that's the plan. We'll see what happens, but I'm not committing too much energy. And then as we come into this hairpin here, where I've had a couple of problems to pass, just watch what happens here. Ooh, whoa, very nearly lose the front end. My front tyre has lost about 40 or 50 PSI. It's really low. And that is it. I've got about 20 PSI on my front tyre. There's no laps out. I've not got any spare wheels or anything anyway. And that's the end of my race. So unfortunately, my day is called there. I could still roll around on it, but I didn't want to race in a crit on it. It's lucky that I wasn't in the bunch when this happened. I'm glad I didn't take down any of the riders. And I'm just glad to keep it upright. So as disappointing as that is, that's bike racing. That's one of those things. Well done to the guys in the race and everybody else who raced on that day. Thank you to House Race Team, the organisers and British cycling staff and everybody who made this event happen. I know through watching how the race played out later on, I would not have been in the front, maybe the front two groups by the end, because it definitely kicked off and there are riders better than me in groups further back. But maybe I'll get to do this again next year. I definitely want to do some more bike racing. Thanks Liz for the support as well. Thank you for watching and I will see you again very soon.